I see a lot of faces I know. I think the last PRSI session I attended was in ITC Shonar Bangla. That's 16. How time passes. That's why we need these old age homes. Now, I wish some of this was recorded. I could have shown the words, which are obviously exaggerated, to my good wife, who has a completely opposite opinion of whatever I do. That Uttariya Chadar will go straight to her. She says, "Ato wrong ache, shopkotar sathe match kore jabe." So they have their skills, and I have noticed over the years that just one chromosome can make so much of a difference. Just one chromosome is so much of a difference. Now, I'll talk on a subject that's known to all of you. You know what digital media is, you know what AI means, you know what fake is, you know what representation is going on, you know what AI generated models are. So be careful. If you put up a good picture of yourself, they'll say AI generated. So AI is going to erode the credibility of all humans as we go along. Now the scenario that we are all there, whenever I mention a year, you take half a second to think where you were in that year, approximately. So you'll know how it all happened in front of you. Everything happened in front of us. We have never actually taken a helicopter view. These were all happening all around us. I remember when as Education Secretary, I was told to start a course called IET. There's a lot of dispute. IET and ICT. Remember? We called ICT. And we had absolutely no clue. So I went to AICT, the think tank. And finally we got 2 from physics, 2 from maths, 2 from computer sciences, and 1 or 2 from here and there, and punched them all together. I'm talking the 90s, late 90s, when we were nowhere. And you know where we are today. Not because of that, because of the efforts put in by those. Now, I'll first take a few minutes to go through, because this is a fascinating part of the story. The end product is known to you all. How she put on the rose, how she put on the mascara and all that, that's the interesting part. Now, these were all independent developments. All independent developments. If you start with the first communication media, newspaper moved from black and white to color, offset, digital, facsimile copies. Now we have digital facsimile copies. I can print it in Cochin and just take one page and put Cochin News, and there you have an edition. It's not that newspapers are that backdated. In radio, that was one of my specialities, we moved from the terrestrial period. Communication was one tower to the other. That's what we call terrestrial communication. That's how it started. To FM, that means not one tower to the other, one tower radiating around it, okay? And FM has a very limited reach. Clarity is much better, but very limited reach. So once you go out of the FM area, you can't hear it. And then during my period came what we call the digital and the satellite radio. I remember having to tell, Prasar Bharati, which is right now Prachar Bharati, it's changed its name. It was always Prachar Bharati in some form or the other. Prasar Bharati is as young as a dinosaur. So, and the speed is comparatively, speed is also like that, speed, reception, everything. So half my time and blood pressure went up just in explaining. I remember a DG, we had 6 Director Generals, saying that I will not respond to emails. आपको जो भेजना मुझे चिट्ठी भेजिए मैं चिट्ठी पर जवाब दूंगा. अरे, so this is the thing. In case you are thinking how I survived after resigning from the greatest man in India, who's also known to go after people, with raids, ED, wherever. I'll tell you how. Every decision that I took was an email. Every decision I took was an email. Okay? I'm writing to the other, you broaden out your search, revise your tender, everything was an email so that nothing could be destroyed. And multiple copies. So when the CBI went after me, forgot to tell you. You don't fight a political system, neither in Delhi or in Calcutta or in Coimbatore, without getting some vicious attack back. Remember that. So you have to pay a cost. Unfortunately, foolhardy people take on. And the net result is the moment I quit on Mr. Modi's face, you put a CBI on me. 6 months CBI was posted. No great shakes. If I had done it here also, this lady would have done the same thing. So not much of a difference, but I'm mentioning it as an expression of state power. And I was participant in that state power. So anyway, that was the period we went digital, and today radio is such that first of all it is available on mobile. That's during that period. Number two, you have a global mobile system. You get a map and you click San Francisco and you click that mobile, click that part, and you'll get that radio streaming in. Have you seen those world maps? World radio. So I mean, it's caught up. It's reached proportions that one could never believe, because I was talking to people who were talking of terrestrial tower number 2744. Next. Films went crazy in our period, though color movies came in, digitalization happened, widescreen happened in front of us. I remember those small ones, so everything. And finally the breakthrough was in the 70s when we got the CGI. Just for people who are interested, the computer generated image. This is the precursor of the AI. So this is the precursor. We saw the little baby coming, now we are seeing the big dad coming. So by digital camera, and now you know how movies are shown. Do you have any idea of movie transportation? We used to send reels. Nah?
Yeah, that's gone.
All gone. You press a button, you access it, you have your time period, it's ticking, you use it. After that, it's taken off. It's all SAT. It's all SAT operated, all over. It's SAT operated, computer generated. Now, why I'm saying all this is you could see these movements take place in front of you. Streaming comes into movies. Then the other development that was taken place simultaneously was at computers. This one is something you have seen. When I joined Delhi in 1985, one day some two Sardars came to my room and they started plugging things and this thing. I said, what? And they put a huge thing with a burqa on top. It's a computer, PC. Everybody was given a PC for no fault of ours. None of us knew how to operate it. We had these operating systems and we learned it. It would make all sorts of funny sounds. We could finish the day's newspaper by the time it booted. Okay? Booted. So from that stage where we have reached, those who are used to traveling in buses in my age would get tickets with punch holes. Punch hole tickets. You know what they were? Any idea? Why did you get punch hole tickets? They were produced by Jadavpur University's computer on paper roll, and they were cut into tickets. So Jadavpur University's computer was the in thing, largest memory. My mobile that's there, it's about 16 times its size. In my mobile, in yours maybe 32 times. So this is the way these developments took place, but the fascinating part was, because we're now putting into this again, we're now getting into what is called the chip war. The chip war has started in such a way that all production is being held back because Taiwan just can't produce. And the central government's plan to put in PLI, production-linked incentives, just not functioning. So chips, the soul of digitization, we are getting caught. But then just for developments, 1971, You were not born. So 1971, the microprocessor comes in. 75, IBM brings in Altair. 84 was when Steve Jobs, and I'm talking of 84, the year I went to Delhi, that time laptops came up. Laptops came up, and next year something was added because somebody came and put it on mine, called a mouse. So that to navigate through the system, they realized that you couldn't like you see, it's happening all in front of you. 93, the size of the chip went up. It's called Intel Inside, Intel Premium. 95, Windows 95 comes in, and it all changes. All of us had to load. So let's travel through the journey. 95, Windows comes in. 97, mobile comes into India. And I was one of the first recipients of mobile. Sircar with nobody bothers of how much, 250 crores for sending a man up to the moon. So you can do anything. So I had those mobile, and some of them had sticks, little. So we had names that you've completely forgotten. Motorola, Ericsson, and all that, they've all gone. That is technology. You either keep up. Mercifully, our marriages in those days were not with so much pressure, but I believe marriages nowadays undergo these pressures of obsolescence and departures. 97, this one came in. 2007, everything was changed forever, ever again. The iPhone came in. Apple, iPhone. Now, iPhone merged within it the music system, the iPod, with receptivity, with the ability to call in data without a dongle. So it was a super thing. I was offered the first iPhone in 2007 or 8. I couldn't navigate it, so I returned it. Oh, digital touch, that. I had a BlackBerry, which had a QWERTY, so I was much safer on a QWERTY. But next year I asked for an iPhone again, and must have happened with most of you. We were all happier with the QWERTY. By the time we got used to the QWERTY, the digital ones came in. Anyway, so we have all gone through it. And 2010, the tablet. Everything here is done on the tablet. Okay, I have explained to you how the media world was changing from radio, from TV to this thing, the films. I've explained to you how computers started increasing their speed, capacity, and everything. I'll talk about the third sister nobody looks at, Cinderella, satellite communication. Satellite communication was going haywire, but nobody noticed it. 57, Sputnik, 62, Sputnik, remember? 61, 62, Telstar, nobody noticed. 65, we started noticing. How many of you are born after 65? I don't see too many. 65 was Intelsat. The first Intelsat went commercial and geostationary. This is the first time we started using a rebounder for our things. If I told somebody in 1970, when I was in college, that you and I will actually be talking, not you to me, not terrestrial, but we'll all send signals up to the satellite, millions of, thousands of miles away, and it'll come down from the satellite to you. Nobody will believe. People will say that it's a nutcase, but this is exactly what you are doing. Since my wife and I are both immobile, so all messaging is on mobile. Khabar kokon pabo, jokon khabe, that sort of thing, it goes on. We have interesting with Ki Gilbe. Next one, Kheyasoni, that sort of thing, it goes on. So 1983, the global satellite phone comes in, 1983. And now we're expecting Starlink to come in and change the whole paradigm. Now, all these developments on telecommunication, on media, on satellite were happening independently. The convergence actually took place in America in 1990s. And for convergence of this, you can't have a straight mind. Remember, we all ticked off America for being baby boomers, hippies, Woodstock, high on marijuana, etc., etc. And everybody else was working hard. The Germans were working hard, the Japanese were working hard, everybody was working hard, and these guys were backpacking around and doing Woodstock. It was this generation that could actually blow their minds and see how they converge. This is one of the tragedies. This is one of the comedies of history. It was the blown out minds that actually could feel how one technology can get into the other. Hey, the guys I'm talking about, the guy who got married again yesterday. So all of them belong to that group. None of them are sane. So all of them can be sent to psychiatrists, but none of them, they could converge and get in what I'm talking about, this convergence. And this convergence is the funniest part. 1990, internet opened. Nobody knew. Nobody knew. I was there because that computer I told you with that ghungat was the most expensive furniture in an IAS officer's room. If he wanted to look busy, he would take that ghungat off and tap for some time. Okay. Nobody knew anything because it's so this thing, but 90, everything started changing, and 91, mails came in. Nobody in India used email, except in universities and scientific institutions, nobody. We started using, I checked up, my earliest email is 97. 97 we started. This email would finish off the other mail forever. Would other handwritten, none of us know how to write by hand anymore. So these come in, and 94, the first search engine comes in from Yahoo. How many people use Yahoo now? Browsers come in, search engines come in, Wikipedia generates databases. In fact, don't trust much of it, because it's all user content. So, I mean, you can all take it with a pinch. Now, 21st century is a century to remember. 2001, Wikipedia. So now you can actually go and search for materials you don't have. Prior to this, you have to ring me up and ask me, hey, eta jano, that sort of thing, and ask somebody who knows. Now it's up there. 2004, Facebook comes in. And India, copycat, just like Puri and Digha. So, we're a nation of copycats. So India starts Orkut, remember? Yeah. So Facebook, Orkut, everything comes in, and Facebook changes the landscape altogether, where communication is gone. And the amount of crap that was put there. Look at this, I had this yesterday. Look at this, how's my sari looking like? So it went on with crappy information, but information nevertheless. Every person knew how to communicate. Next year, YouTube comes in. Next year, every year after year that's going on, Twitter comes in. And one of the first guys to use Twitter, I thought he was mad, was Shashi Tharoor. And what a projection is made out of it. What a projection. With his fake accent and colored hair, he's done well. So Twitter comes in. And then iPhone translates. Now, let's get the figures on digital media into your mind. What's our population today? 145 crores. So you take off the baby population off, that will be around 25 crores gone. You take the old dinosaurs off, another 25 gone. So effectively you are left with about 95 crores of population. We have almost 40 crore users of Facebook. Okay? So you understand the grasp. The marketing, the messaging. YouTube has 50 crores. 50 crores of YouTube subscribers. Twitter, of course, is less. Twitter is meant for policymakers. Trump saying something now, something in the afternoon, something in the evening, depending on what dose he has had just now. So, I mean, dose of information. I didn't mean anything. Anyway. So, and his opinion, I found, because I've dealt with bosses like him, from CMs to PMs, his opinion is the opinion of the person he has spoken to last. I'm telling you. I've noticed him. He has an open mind, very little of it, substance is in it. So, then comes Instagram, another 40 crores. I'm not even getting to TikTok and all that stuff. These four basics. So where do these things head up to? What is now happening is we lost sight of one powerful medium, the television. But the television has understood the limitations of growth. I knew it would. I kept on saying, when smartphones were just 5 crores, that our target is smartphones. Because if anybody wants to check up what happened, whether there's another rape that has taken place, all you'll do is to open ABP Anando, and that too on a smartphone. Nobody goes to a TV, isn't it? So we have to understand where the target audience, what is the way it looks at it. We have 90 crore registered TV viewers, which means all the population of India practically. 35 news channels, 35 crores looking after news, deciding whom to vote, 400 channels. And that, we saw the whole journey, as I said, from terrestrial to cable operators. My God, they fought. They bled and fought in front of me, cable operators unions. And then come the MSOs, like Sanjeev Goenka and others who merged these and supply. The entire information domain went in through mergers and acquisitions in such a way that finally it capitalized into controls. Okay. Now, then comes in the smart player. He came in a little before, no one noticed. It's only the young kids who wanted to see movies on Netflix who noticed it first and started having Netflix subscriptions with a cousin in Bombay and another cousin in Cochin sharing it. It's only when COVID hit us that Netflix came in like Muhammad Ali's punch. Netflix and COVID, see how these things are related to each other. If COVID had not come in, we would not have understood the power of OTT. OTT. Now, OTT is a very sly operator. It pays for no service. It pays for no service. Like one of those mouses we used to have, who traveled from house to house and stay for 1 month, criticizing the last house and then moves on to the next house. It is something like, it's a freebooter. It doesn't pay for technology, which makes both telecom operators wild. It is over the terrestrial, over the satellite. It uses what we call space gaps. And since the space gap is wide, they can get in. OTT comes in, and then mathematics enters in a very big way in front of you. You suddenly started noticing about 10 years ago that if you liked something, if you looked at something, looked at a sari twice, the next 2 prompts would be saris. Okay? If I looked at a beautiful girl 3 times, whatever she did would be sent to me. Okay? By that time, my obsession with her is gone. But then keep sending until I de-obsess myself completely. This is the power of algorithm. Algorithm. The algorithm, the whole stuff, and it went on. Whatever you clicked was, tagged and tied. Algorithm. Now, why this algorithm-based digital media is devastating is that it reinforces your likes and dislikes. If ever you wonder, I have asked two questions. Why was everything left of center like a madman when I was a young man? You know, the Cultural Revolution, the Naxalite Revolution, everything was left. There was no party, no logic in it. But everything was left, romantically left. Now the same question, why for earth, God's sake, is everything right? Right populist. And right populism is dangerous. It may sound good to you कि हमारी संस्कृति पर. It's dangerous because it concentrates only on me and mine. So two great right-wing populists keep fighting in a manner in which it will lead to world war at any point of time. It did last time. Now, what has that got to do with communication technology? In digital technology, it is the power of the algorithm. Once you have evinced a like towards something, they will start pumping you with that. Do you want to know what bad things the Muslims did? I'll send you every 10 minutes. Why they don't need to exist? Or the other way around, you want to know what bad things the Hindu right did, or you want to know how terrible husbands are. I've now been sent messages by a feminist lobby that almost says in the morning and evening, kill the husbands. So it's there, I stumbled upon it and then I can't get out of it. So I thought of passing it on to my wife, but then she could take it seriously. Now, so, algorithm-based digital multiple comprehensive information, I'm repeating. Algorithm-based, that means it reinforces your slight choice. Whatever you say is reinforced, multiple proof. Based digital information in a comprehensive, compact mode. That's exactly what we are today facing. And then comes AI. People are talking AI, and AI has quietly started displacing people. I know of 3 to 4 professions where people have been laid off in India. Google has started. They use a funny word, not layoff. They had a funny term for it's basically a layoff. Pink slip ona. There's something they've come up. The Americans come up with all sorts of. They say the wrong word. Lift ke elevator wale. So they have their own funny way. So laid off. I have it in my pocket. I can tell you. Now everything this and in this digital world, there is now an overwhelming sense of becoming more and more frustrated. There's so much news, so much things thrown at you that if you do that, you won't find time for even taking a bath. So then comes the aggregators, in shorts. All sorts of aggregators who do it for you. And there again, these are algorithm based. My message to you is that of everything else, AI is a technology, digital is a technology, part of it. What is harming us the most is the capacity for the machine to understand what exactly you may be looking at and reinforcing you on that path in such a manner that you can't, it's like a drug, you can't get out of it anymore. So this aggregation is coming in of great danger. And this aggregation and this passing on of information had now taken a new form, ambush. You're looking for something, you're ambushed by something else. You open Facebook to check whether what your aunt has written, because she said, "Tumi dekho na mat dige." So you opened it and you got caught into 13 reels. Reel after reel, you have to take a long time to extricate yourself from the reel to get back to what you're looking at. So this ambush techniques are also, and there's no law against it, so now come off it. let's come to the basic point. They have got us, okay? There's no way we can get out of it. The 5 big tech in the world, each of it has a net worth more than India. Check it out. Google's worth will be more than 3 trillion. Everybody has. So they are independent nation states on their own, international states, organizations on their own, who can buy and sell governments, knock them off. So we have big tech like big pharma and big oil posing the greatest threat to the human race in this stage. And these ones, first of all, you have lost all privacy. So if anyone thinks that there is something anyone doesn't know, he or she is living in a fool's paradise. It's recorded somewhere or the other. Whether it will be retrieved or not is a different matter. Once you have entered into a digital stage, everything is recorded. Your choices, your things. So where does this lead to? 2 questions arise. Is there any law that we can have? Some rule of law to save the citizen? Is there any value for hard work anymore? Since you don't know whether that person who's speaking to you, I mean, Donald Trump speaks to me 22 times a day. It comes up absolutely, I mean, I can't make out. Well, then so, 2 things you must remember. Content still remains king. So to those who are interested in passing messaging, including, I would call you instead of public relations society, the public communication society. People who are interested in public communication must remember content and presentation are still king. Usko koi nahi hata payenge. Nobody can touch it. So it's a question of whether you put it in shorts or whether you put it in reel or shorts, it will be there. So the power remains still with the content creator. It's a different matter that content creation is often being done by machines, but that's a different game. But still now the human intervention matters. And the second problem is what to do with big tech. In trying to answer this question, we have landed into a third problem. Trying to control big tech, we have landed into big state. For 3 years, I was on the committee on IT, communication, digital in Parliamentary Standing Committee, and every month we had to go through what's going on. And every month it was split into half, that committee. Those in favor of the government, most of them didn't even understand the subject, but that's beside the point. An MP does not necessarily need to be educated. So, Katadi ka haath uthana. So, and there were others on this side who understood which way we are going. Now I'll give you the game that's going on now. As I said in the beginning, I'm out of politics. And if I may say before a camera, to me, Didi and Modi, niet. Okay, or any other Hindi coming in. So I have seen the innards of the state system, and I remain essentially a citizen first. First is the misutilization as the alibi. Cybercrime, looting of funds, okay? Filching of funds, public safety, national safety, sovereignty of India, etc., etc. These are the catchwords. I have prepared these words for 40 years. So don't ask me. So I drafted these words when you asked me to do it. So we know what we are up against. I'm not saying that national safety is not an issue. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is the methodology that you're using and the powers that you're using may not be the correct one. If you had the right methodology of surveillance, you would have seen Pahalgam terrorists coming. You could have seen it because you have complete satellite supervision over everything. That means you use the powers, you had the powers, but you kept them in a locker. That's it. You haven't used it. Now, surveillance is an essential part of this. As I said, surveillance can happen because all the big tech operators know much about you, your likes, much more than your spouse. In fact, spouses understand the least, I think. Now, having said that, they know, but how does a big state get to them? The amount of garbage that passes on WhatsApp every day would call for Firhad Hakim's garbage trucks to come in every day and take them out. People who are used to WhatsApp will see so much garbage coming. What do we do about it? Because WhatsApp says, मेरे को कोई कंट्रोल नहीं, वो बाबा लोग देते, बाबा लोग सुनते, मुझे कुछ नहीं जानता. Actually, WhatsApp doesn't de-encrypt. Actually, it doesn't. It's not saying nonsense. It's saying the truth. Actually, end-to-end encrypted data can't be de-encrypted. Incidentally, how many of you are technologists? Here, one. Do you know how signals are passed? I'll explain. This one was an example as to give the youngsters who came into radio. In radio, when you send a voice from one tower to the other, do you think it went in like that? Like it was one of those tubes in which you heard? As soon as it left the tower, it was made into capsules. Okay, completely different thing. Okay, I'll put it like this. It was made into dehydrated paneer, little bit, and sent over. The next tower that got it back, took it, put water, hydrated it, made a real paneer, used it. But when passing, again dehydrated. So the objects that were actually going around are not the same. Digital technology is a very, very interesting thing. So each transmission you think is the transmission that you are sending is the one you are receiving. In the meantime, it's gone through 1,000 modifications. Sometimes you get gibberish coming on phone. That's that de-encryption. So today, the obsession, the problem is not with digitech. You cannot stop the advancement of technology. Any person who's stupid enough to say my AI allow nahi karunga is talking nonsense. Nobody can stop it. Oh, they can do and devastate, they can imitate, they can impersonate. So what? So what? You have to accept it. The question is how to manage the ecosystem, and how the management of the ecosystem has taken place. I'll give you the quick run-up. In 2000, the IT Act was brought in. What did bureaucrats understand of IT in 2000? Huh? No. Nothing. So they called in people who did, and they drafted it, and then they say, "Isko thoda simple kar do," and then it went to law, and the IT Act came in. But IT Act was basically a all-pervasive power that was kept ki, hey, ज़्यादा पंगेबाजी मत लेना, हम है. State's usual stand. This IT Act came into real nuisance value in the second UPA. I remember going up to Kapil Sibal and shouting when he brought in 69A. 69 was the power of interception, legitimate power of interception. I can legitimately, the state always incidentally had the power to tap your phone and everything and all that. We've tapped it merrily and heard nonsense, let it go. So that power was always there. But the question is, of course you had rules that you had to ask permission. 69A gave a draconian power to the state. Then came the 2008 amendment, this was in 2008, and 2020, and people, whoever among you are interested in these, the next ones that I'm telling you, just tell Mr. Mohapatra and I'll send you the articles. 2008 comes in a 3-tier governance called the IT rules. In the meantime, which department looks after IT? The Department of IT. It was quietly transferred to INB. Quietly transferred to INB, and I wrote an article, because I had been INB secretary also, so I knew what something fishy was there. Something fishy was there. When everybody goes for a picnic and two persons of different genders decide to remain back, something is fishy. So, something is fishy, so it got... So it went on to IT, and the first thing IT did was to bring in the 3-tier rules. Their target were 2 forms of communication. You see, the newspapers were anyway got over. I won't use dirty words like Godi and all that. So they were got over. They know which way the profit is, they know how to evade IT rates, they know how to stay in line, and it's going through its own phase. Let history judge our democracy, what happens. Newspapers were not the problem. The problem was digital newspapers. Digital newspaper. How many of you read digital newspapers? Almost all of you must be reading some digital newspaper or the other. The digital newspapers were under no restriction. And some of them, like Scroll, Wire, Netflix, could say anything. And of course, they're open to defamation. So what they had to say, they were open to defamation. So they had to say within the bounds of truth, but remained out of control. So they were brought in. And cinema was brought in through the Cinematograph Act. TV was brought in through the Cables TV Act. New player was not brought in. OTT. Huh? Not trying. They've got the chicken. Absolutely. Gola thode. OTT, it first started with the wave, ki sharam ki baat hai, not Indian culture. So they started saying that this person is dressed like this, it hurts my sensibility. I knew at that time that something was wrong. So they've got IT Act was used to bring in 2 recalcitrant boys. One is digital news and the other is OTT. Immediately they went to court. I can say, I helped them draft it. If I can play for this side, I can play for that. If I can play for East Bengal, I can play for Mohun Bagan also. Usme kya hai? So now I'm a citizen. So much of it is stuck under in courts. And then came a third player. See, I'm telling you of all the dangers of digital. I'm not telling you the advantages of digital. It empowered the citizen beyond imagination. Anybody could come up, put in a reel, put in an Instagram, put in a shot, put in a this thing, and was conveyable. Okay? So, reel shots Instagram has now grips more people than news. The new generation just doesn't look at news. They look at interpretation of news from their favorite interpreters. And then, along with that came a new breed of YT platforms. YouTube platforms. Kamal Kamra. I mean, can go on naming. Tell me 4 or 5. Ravish Kumar. Dhruv Rathi. See, I knew the youngsters would all. Dekhne mein bhi theek hai. So, Dhruv Rathi. So, this fearless band who are going on tormenting. So, now I'm telling you how an instrument created by big tech for profits starts hitting the state on this side, starts hitting the citizen on that side, starts giving advantage to the citizen, starts giving separate advantage. Now the YouTube channel, the YouTube platforms are the greatest threat to the state system today. Because they're giving you alternate news on everything. On every mode of thought. In fact, that stupid fellow who had to be extradited from India, that Muslim preacher, remember, Naik? He was using YouTube channels. Morning, evening he was using. So it can go both ways. It's not that one group is only doing it, the other group is also doing it. Now this is the scenario in which we are operating, and the laws, I'm telling you what happened. The laws were all in the cookery kitchen. I could smell it. when you go past the kitchen and somebody is frying onions or somebody is making an omelette, the smell comes. So people like us can smell that something was happening. And if you want to know, in December last year, winter session, 146 MPs were expelled. In a show that Indian history will take a few hundred years to understand how 146 MPs were expelled altogether. And the remaining ones said, no, we are also quitting. And then one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, bills were passed. I was sent back by the so-called India Group fellows saying that please go inside, don't raise a voice, sit in the last bench. So what I did was I sat, because the left side was completely vacant, only the right side was populated by the government people. So I went and sat behind them. The BJP वाला मुझसे पूछा कि आपने side switch कर दिया? I said, हाँ भैया, आप चुपचाप रहिए. So I sat there and I said, saw the telecom bill being rammed through. 2 hours of discussion. A telecom bill was rammed through, and I'm using the word, what control was brought under the telecom bill? What can the telecom bill control? Every sign, signal, writing, text message, sound, video, data stream, intelligence or information sent through any media comes under the new law. So the legitimacy of taking action lies through these. I asked our babyface Ashwini Vaishnav. Ashwini Vaishnav is 11 years my junior in the IAS. So I asked him, "Kya yaar, kya ho raha hai?" Sir, samajh gaya, acha na samajh gaya. So this was what it was passed. Similarly, next day, the Press and Registrations of Periodicals Act was passed. And just before it, the Digital Data Protection Bill was passed. It is the Digital Data Protection Bill is of them right now the most dangerous. I'll tell you why. First of all, it takes away your power to ask RTI. And with digital data se RTI ka kya taluk? What's this thing? They brought it like that. So all the press clubs and press associations of India have sent a joint memorandum on the digital data protection. And to think of it, Digital Data Protection Act was something people like us have been asking for 10 years. Ki, please stop us from big tech. Big tech is exploiting us, and the big tech is exploiting us. Now you brought in an act that will actually give you a handle to tighten big tech. And if big tech says that I'll de-encrypt WhatsApp messages, Jawhar, Sircar, you let him go. Mercifully, the Evidence Act will not apply. You can de-encrypt what I said. I say whatever I say before the camera, I say it there also. So these are the ways in which they have brought in one after the other, one after the other. And these are not the signs of a healthy state. We are caught now between multiple giants. You have a giant technology that is like a leviathan stomping around. Its latest form is artificial intelligence. But when artificial intelligence was coming, you never noticed. How many of you noticed VR, virtual reality? Huh? Haath uthaiye. Have you seen, something out of the world that's coming up and blowing up? This is the virtual reality that will get into the mother of AI. AI. So AI makes it the very job of communication suspect. The job of communication is content and delivery. Content and presentation. The content itself, you're doubting whether the content itself is content, or a lot of hot air, lot of slander. Okay, you get into the greatest problem of credibility. The 21st century's greatest tragedy is not the bombing of the Twin Towers, not the uncalled for attack on Iraq, not other matters that have gone, or the aggression in Ukraine and all that. These are baby dogs. The greatest danger is this power to mesmerize humans. And people will, truth is now a byproduct of your prejudice. You have a prejudice. You have a prejudice. Yeah, I am this. I like this. Okay? And your prejudice is reaffirmed through the media. And the truth that you see in front of you, which is highly suspect, is now just a byproduct of your prejudice. So truth goes on a holiday. All we can hope is that technology comes in faster to bring it back from its vacation. Thank you.